The silver ship hung in the darkness of space like a giant metal tear. Inside, Ambassador Kethvar pressed his three-fingered hand against the smooth crystal wall and stared at the blue planet below. His skin was gray and hard like stone, and small lights flickered under its surface when he was nervous. Right now, those lights were flashing very fast. "Are you sure about this, Ambassador?" asked his aide, Veltar. Her voice sounded like wind through rocks. "The planet looks dangerous. All that blue substance covering it." Kethvar nodded slowly. The Zephyrian people had traveled between stars for thousands of years. They had seen many worlds and met many different kinds of life. But this planet was strange. Very strange. "The readings are clear," he said. 70% of the surface is covered in hydrogen-oxygen compound, and there are life forms living right next to it. Some even seem to live in it. Both aliens shuddered. On their homeworld of Zephyr Prime, the hydrogen-oxygen compound was kept in special containers deep underground. It was one of the most dangerous substances they knew. Just a few drops could eat through their silicon-based skin like fire. Their scientists used it only in the most careful experiments, wearing thick protective suits. But this planet, the beings who lived here called it Earth, was covered in oceans of the stuff. It fell from their sky. It flowed in rivers across their land. The Zephyrians could not understand how anything could survive in such a deadly place. 3 months ago, their long-range sensors had picked up radio signals from this solar system. The signals were simple and crude, but they proved that intelligent life existed here. The Galactic Council had been excited. New species were always interesting. They brought new ideas, new trade, new friends. The Council had chosen Kethvar for this first contact mission. He was their best diplomat. He had successfully made peace with the crystal beings of Andros 7. He had negotiated trade deals with the gas people of the Nebula worlds. He spoke 47 different languages and understood the customs of dozens of species. But this mission worried him. "Show me the recordings again," he told Veltar. The aide touched a panel, and holographic images filled the air between them. They watched the intercepted human television broadcasts. The images showed the beings who lived on Earth. They walked on 2 legs and had pink or brown or black skin that looked soft and wet. They had hair growing from their heads in different colors. They were strange, but not frightening. What was frightening was how they lived. The humans built their cities right next to vast bodies of the deadly compound. They traveled on top of it in floating vehicles. Children played in smaller amounts of it during something they called summer. The Zephyrians watched in horror as young humans jumped into pools of the substance and seemed to enjoy it. "Look at this one," Veltar said, pointing to a recording. It showed a human female opening a container and pouring the clear liquid into a glass. Then she lifted it to her mouth. Both aliens looked away quickly. "How can they be so careless?" Kethvar asked. "Do they not understand what they are handling?" "Perhaps. Their skin is different from ours," Veltar suggested. "Perhaps it does not hurt them the same way. Even so, the compound is still dangerous. It should not be handled without protection." Kethvar had studied the chemical analysis reports many times. The hydrogen-oxygen compound on Earth was the same as the one on Zephyr Prime. It had the same molecular structure. It should have the same deadly effects. Yet somehow these humans lived surrounded by it. They seemed to use it for many purposes. The Zephyrian scientists were confused and amazed. "The Council believes they must be very advanced," Veltar said, "to control such a dangerous substance so completely." Kethvar agreed. Any species that could live safely with hydrogen-oxygen compound must have incredible technology. Their protection systems must be far beyond anything the Zephyrians had developed. Perhaps they had found ways to neutralize its dangerous effects, or perhaps they were simply braver than any species the galaxy had ever known. "Prepare for landing," Kethvar ordered. "Send the diplomatic signals on all frequencies. Tell them we come in peace." "Yes, Ambassador." Veltar began working at the control panels. "The humans have responded. They are directing us to land at something called Kennedy Space Center in a place called Florida." Kethvar felt the lights under his skin flash faster. Soon he would meet these remarkable beings face to face. the first Zephyrian to make contact with the humans of Earth. He hoped he would survive the experience. The ship began its descent through Earth's atmosphere. Through the crystal walls, Kethavar could see white clouds made of water vapor floating in the sky. Even the air here contained the deadly compound. How did anything breathe safely? As they got closer to the surface, he could see the details more clearly. Green plants covered much of the land. Rivers of the compound snaked between hills and valleys. And everywhere signs of human civilization. They were definitely an advanced species, Kethavar decided. They had to be. Nothing else could explain how they survived in such a hostile environment. The ship touched down gently on the landing pad. Through the walls, Kethavar could see human vehicles approaching. Small figures in strange white suits climbed out and began walking toward the ship. The welcoming committee, Veltar observed. Kethavar straightened his formal robes and checked his translation device one last time. This was the moment that would change galactic history. The first meeting between the Zephyrian Empire and the brave humans of Earth. He just hoped they would not offer him any of their deadly compound to drink. The meeting room at Kennedy Space Center was simple and clean. Large windows showed the Florida sky outside, where white clouds drifted slowly across the blue. Ambassador Kethavar tried not to look at the clouds. He knew they were made of the deadly compound, floating right above their heads. The human delegation sat across from the Zephyrians at a long wooden table. The humans had removed their protective white suits and now wore simple clothes. Kethavar was amazed by their bravery. They sat in the open air with no protection at all from the dangerous vapors that surrounded their planet. "Welcome to Earth," said the lead human diplomat. Her name was Dr. Sarah Chen, and she spoke clearly into the translation device between them. "We are honored to meet you." Kethavar bowed his head respectfully. The lights under his gray skin flickered in a pattern. That meant peaceful greeting. "We are grateful for your welcome. I am Ambassador Kethavar of the Zephyrian Galactic Council." Dr. Chen smiled. Kethavar had learned that this expression meant happiness among humans. It was strange to see someone so relaxed when sitting so close to danger. "We have prepared refreshments for our meeting," Dr. Chen said. She gestured to a human assistant near the door. Kethavar felt the lights under his skin dim with worry. Refreshments could mean anything. He hoped the humans would not expect him to consume anything dangerous. The assistant wheeled in a small cart. On top were several clear containers filled with a transparent liquid. Kethavar's aide, Veltar, made a small choking sound beside him. "These are glasses of water," Dr. Chen explained cheerfully. "Pure spring water from the mountains of Colorado. We thought you might be thirsty after your long journey." The bottom of Kethavar's world fell away. Water. They had brought water, containers full of the hydrogen-oxygen compound. And they were offering it as refreshments. Kethavar stared at the glasses in shock. Each one contained enough of the deadly substance to kill a Zephyrian in seconds. The liquid sat calmly in the clear containers, looking innocent, but he knew how dangerous it was. "Is something wrong?" Dr. Chen asked. She noticed that both aliens had gone very still. Kethavar's mind raced. Why were the humans doing this? Was it a test? A threat? Were they showing off their power by casually handling weapons of mass destruction? He looked at Dr. Chen's face. She seemed genuinely confused by their reaction. Either she was a very good actor, or she truly did not understand what she had just done. "You offer us water?" Kethavar asked carefully. "Yes, of course. It is customary on Earth to offer drinks to guests. Water is the most pure and healthy choice." Healthy. They called the deadly compound healthy. Kethavar felt his breathing become shallow. These humans were even more advanced than he had thought. Not only could they survive on a planet covered in hydrogen-oxygen compound, they actually consumed it for health reasons. What kind of species had such incredible biology? What kind of technology did they possess to make the deadly harmless? "We appreciate the gesture," Kethavar said slowly, "but we cannot accept." Dr. Chen looked disappointed. "Oh, I am sorry. Do you have different dietary needs? We have other beverages, coffee, tea, juice. More liquids, all probably containing the same dangerous compound. No, Kethvar said quickly. We require no refreshments. Thank you. Dr. Chen nodded and made a note on her paper tablet. She seemed to accept this easily. The human assistant moved the cart to one side of the room, but left the glasses where the humans could see them. Kethvar tried to focus on the diplomatic discussion, but his eyes kept drifting to the water glasses. The humans acted as if they were completely normal, as if having weapons-grade hydrogen-oxygen compound sitting casually on a cart was no different from having flowers or decorations. We are very interested in your technology, Dr. Chen was saying. Faster-than-light travel is something we have only dreamed about. Yes, Kethvar replied. His voice sounded strange even to himself. Your technology interests us as well. This was true. How did the humans neutralize water? How did they make it safe to be around? The Zephyrian scientists would be very excited to learn these secrets. We have brought some gifts from our world, Veltar said, trying to help the conversation. She opened a container and removed several small crystal sculptures. These are made from the living rock of our home planet. The humans seemed genuinely pleased by the gifts. They passed them around the table carefully, admiring the way light moved through the crystal. Beautiful, Dr. Chen said. We have gifts for you as well. She reached under the table and brought out a wooden box. Inside were bottles of different sizes, each filled with clear liquid. These are samples of water from different regions of Earth, she explained. Mountain spring water, ocean water, rainwater collected in the Amazon. We thought you might like to study them. Kethvar's blood turned to ice in his veins. They were giving him bottles of weapons, multiple varieties of the deadly compound, enough to destroy a small city on Zephyr Prime, and Dr. Chen was offering them like they were precious gems. We cannot accept such valuable gifts, Kethvar managed to say. Valuable? Dr. Chen looked confused. Water is not valuable on Earth, it is everywhere. It falls from the sky for free, falls from the sky. The deadly compound fell from their sky like rain, and they called it free. These humans were not just advanced. They were the most militarily powerful species the galaxy had ever seen. They lived on a planet that was essentially one giant weapon. They breathed air mixed with weapon vapors. They offered concentrated weapon samples as gifts to visiting diplomats. And they acted like it was all perfectly normal. Kethvar's hand shook as he closed the wooden box without touching the bottles inside. We will consider these gifts carefully. They require special handling procedures. Of course, Dr. Chen said. Take all the time you need. The meeting continued for another hour, but Kethvar barely heard the words. His mind was already composing. The emergency message he would send to the Galactic Council. Humanity was not just dangerous. They were beyond dangerous. They were a species so advanced in warfare that they had weaponized their entire planet and somehow made themselves immune to their own weapons. The galaxy needed to know, and the galaxy needed to decide what to do about it, fast. The emergency message reached the Galactic Council within hours. Ambassador Kethvar had used the highest priority signal, the one reserved for threats to galactic peace. Council members from dozens of worlds gathered in the Great Chamber on Nexus Station to hear his report. Honored Council. Kethvar's image appeared above the central platform. His gray skin flickered with rapid lights of distress. I must report that humanity represents the greatest military threat our galaxy has ever faced. A ripple of shock went through the chamber. The reptilian delegates from Saris Prime hissed in alarm. The floating energy beings of the void clusters pulsed with worried colors. Explain, commanded High Counselor Zalthek, an ancient being whose species had overseen galactic peace for millennia. The humans have weaponized their entire planet, Kethvar continued. 70% of their world's surface is covered with concentrated hydrogen-oxygen compound. They live surrounded by enough chemical weapons to destroy 1,000 worlds. The council chamber erupted in frightened chatter. Every species knew about hydrogen-oxygen compound. Every species feared it. But that is not the worst part, Kethvar said, his voice shaking. During our diplomatic meeting, they offered me samples. of this compound as refreshments. They called it healthy and pure. They have bottles of different varieties as gifts. They act as if handling planet-killing weapons is normal behavior. High Counselor Zalthek's tentacles writhed with concern. Are you certain of these facts? I witnessed it myself. The humans showed no fear, no protective equipment, no safety procedures. They treat liquid death like decoration. Their cities are built next to vast lakes of the compound. Their young swim in it for pleasure. The chamber fell silent. The implications were terrifying. If they are this advanced, whispered Counselor Verthak of the Crystal Worlds, what other weapons might they possess? We must assume they have military technology far beyond our understanding, Kethvar replied. Any species that can live safely with hydrogen-oxygen compound as a household item must have defenses we cannot imagine. Within the hour, the Galactic Council had made its decision. The human threat was too great to ignore. A massive fleet would be assembled. 47 different worlds would contribute ships and soldiers. They would strike first, before humanity could spread their terrible weapons to other planets. Meanwhile, on Earth, Dr. Sarah Chen was having problems of her own. The second diplomatic meeting had been even stranger than the first. The aliens seemed nervous and jumpy. They refused all offers of food and drink. They would not touch any of the gift samples of water from different regions. Ambassador Kethvar kept staring at her coffee cup like it might explode. I think we have a communication problem, Dr. Chen told her team after the meeting ended. Something is getting lost in translation. Her assistant, Dr. James Park, nodded. Did you notice how they reacted when you offered them bottled water? The small one almost fainted. Maybe their species cannot process H2O, suggested Dr. Maria Santos, the xenobiology expert. Some silicon-based life forms might find it toxic. That would explain their fear, Dr. Chen agreed. But it does not explain why they seem to think we are threatening them. She had reviewed the translation records many times. The aliens seemed to believe that water was some kind of weapon. They used words like deadly and dangerous when talking about it. They acted like she was offering them poison. Dr. Chen was a good diplomat. She had spent years learning to understand different cultures and viewpoints. But this situation confused her completely. The breakthrough came during the third meeting purely by accident. The talks had been going badly. Ambassador Kethvar seemed more nervous than ever. He kept glancing at the windows, where afternoon rain was starting to fall. Every time a raindrop hit the glass, he flinched. Dr. Chen was frustrated. The translation software was working perfectly. The aliens were polite and intelligent, but every conversation felt like they were talking about completely different things. I am sorry, she said finally, rubbing her temples. I think I need a moment. She reached for her water bottle without thinking. It was a habit from years of long meetings. Stay hydrated. Stay sharp. She unscrewed the cap and took a long drink. Ambassador Kethvar made a sound like breaking glass. His aide Veltar gasped and stumbled backward. Both aliens stared at Dr. Chen with expressions of absolute horror. Then Kethvar collapsed. Ambassador! Dr. Chen jumped up, water bottle still in her hand. Medical team to conference room 3 immediately. The human doctors arrived within minutes. They checked Kethvar's vital signs with portable scanners while Veltar hovered nearby, making distressed clicking sounds. He appears to be in shock, Dr. Williams reported. All readings are elevated, but he should recover. Dr. Chen knelt beside the unconscious alien. What happened? Was it something I said? Veltar looked at her with wide, frightened eyes. You consumed the weapon. We watched you drink concentrated death. Weapon? Dr. Chen looked down at her water bottle. This is just water. Yes, the hydrogen-oxygen compound. You put it inside your body. The pieces suddenly clicked together in Dr. Chen's mind. The fear, the horror, the refusal to touch anything liquid. The aliens thought water was dangerous. Not just dangerous. They thought it was a weapon. Oh no, she whispered. Oh no, no, no. She thought about everything that had happened. The gifts of bottled water, the offers of drinks, the casual way humans handled water every day. From the aliens' perspective, she had been threatening them with chemical weapons. She had offered them poison as refreshments. She had tried to give them bottles of concentrated death as friendship gifts. And just now, she had drunk liquid death right in front of them. No wonder they thought humans were the most dangerous species in the galaxy. Dr. Chen looked around the room with new eyes. There was a water cooler in the corner, condensation on the windows from humidity, a small plant in a pot that was watered daily. Humans lived surrounded by what these aliens considered weapons of mass destruction. They drank it, bathed in it, swam in it for fun. "We need to call off the fleet," Veltar said suddenly, checking a communication device. "They are mobilizing the entire galactic military to stop you." "Fleet?" Dr. Chen's blood went cold. "What fleet?" 47 worlds are sending warships. They think you are planning to attack the galaxy with your water weapons. Dr. Chen stared at the unconscious ambassador, then at her innocent water bottle, then at the rain still falling outside the windows. First contact was supposed to bring peace between species. Instead, she had accidentally started a galactic war by offering someone a drink of water. Ambassador HFY woke up on a soft bed in the human medical facility. The lights were dim and gentle. A human doctor was checking a small device near his head. "How do you feel?" Dr. Chen asked. She sat in a chair beside the bed, looking worried. HFY tried to sit up. The memory came flooding back. Dr. Chen drinking the deadly compound, consuming liquid death like it was nothing. His mind could barely process what he had witnessed. You drank it," he whispered. "I saw you drink the weapon." "That is what we need to talk about," Dr. Chen said gently. "I think I understand the problem now." She had spent the last 2 hours researching Zephyrian biology with her team. The translator devices worked perfectly for language, but they had missed something important about chemistry and culture. "Your species is silicon-based," she said. "Water would be harmful to you like acid to us." HFY nodded slowly. "The hydrogen-oxygen compound dissolves our skin. It is one of the most dangerous substances in our galaxy. But humans are different. We are carbon-based. Water is not dangerous to us. It is necessary for our survival." HFY stared at her. "Necessary? Our bodies are 60% water. We need to drink it every day or we die." The aliens' lights flickered in confusion. "Your bodies contain the compound?" "Yes, and it falls from our sky as rain. It fills our oceans and rivers. We swim in it, cook with it, clean with it. For humans, water is life." HFY felt like his understanding of the universe was crumbling. "But the fleet, the council believes you are preparing to attack with water weapons." Dr. Chen's face went pale. "How long do we have?" "The fastest ships will arrive in 6 Earth days. 6 days to prevent a galactic war caused by offering someone a glass of water. We need to show them the truth," Dr. Chen said. "We need to prove that water is not a weapon to humans." "How can you prove such a thing?" Dr. Chen thought for a moment. Then a crazy idea began forming in her mind. "We are going to have a demonstration," she said. "The biggest water-drinking demonstration in human history." 3 days later, the main auditorium at Kennedy Space Center had been transformed. Cameras from news stations around the world were set up. Scientists, diplomats, and volunteers filled the seats. Tables covered the stage, loaded with hundreds of different containers. Ambassador HFY sat in the front row with Veltar and the small crew from their ship. All of them wore protective suits that their ship's medical bay had quickly assembled. They still feared being too close to so much of the deadly compound. Dr. Chen walked onto the stage carrying a microphone. Behind her, 50 human volunteers stood ready. "Ambassador HFY," she said, speaking clearly for the translation device. "You believe that water is a weapon. Today we will show you that for humans, it is simply life." She gestured to the tables. "Here we have water in many forms: pure spring water, ocean water that has been cleaned, rainwater, ice that we will melt, and water mixed with other safe substances." Kethvar watched nervously as Dr. Chen picked up a large glass of clear, liquid. "This is ordinary tap water from the city of Orlando," she announced. "I will now consume it." She lifted the glass to her lips and drank the entire contents in one long swallow. Kethvar gripped the arms of his chair. Any moment now, Dr. Chen would collapse. She would scream in pain as the deadly compound destroyed her from inside. Instead, she smiled and wiped her mouth with the back of her hand. "Next," she called. A young man stepped forward. He held a bottle of something blue. "Sports drink," he announced. "Water mixed with electrolytes and flavoring." He opened the bottle and began drinking. He did not just sip it carefully. He gulped it down like he was dying of thirst. Kethvar made a small whimpering sound. A woman came next with a steaming cup. "Coffee," she said. "Hot water with ground beans." She drank it slowly, clearly enjoying the taste. One by one, the volunteers consumed different water-based liquids. Juice made from fruits and water, tea made from leaves and water, milk that contained mostly water, soup that was flavored water with vegetables, but the worst was yet to come. Dr. Chen returned to the center of the stage. She picked up a large, plastic bottle that contained 2 liters of pure water. "This demonstration is being broadcast live to your ship," she told Kethvar. "Your people can see everything we're doing." She twisted off the cap and lifted the huge bottle above her head. "For humans," she declared, "water is not a weapon. It is a joy." Then she began to chug. The entire bottle. 2 liters of what Kethvar considered concentrated death. Dr. Chen threw back her head and guzzled the liquid like it was the most delicious thing in the universe. Some of it ran down her chin. She was practically bathing in the deadly compound. When she finished, she held the empty bottle high above her head like a trophy. The human audience cheered and clapped. Kethvar had stopped breathing. "But wait," Dr. Chen called out. "There is more." She gestured to the other volunteers. As one, they each grabbed large containers of water and began drinking. 50 humans, all consuming massive amounts of the compound that could kill a Zephyrian in seconds. They did not just drink it. They splashed it, they laughed. Some of them poured it over their heads for fun. "Water fight," someone shouted, and suddenly the humans were throwing the deadly substance at each other, soaking their clothes and skin. Kethvar watched in absolute horror and amazement as 50 members of the most dangerous species in the galaxy had a party, using weapons of mass destruction as toys. They were not just immune to the deadly compound. They were playing with it. They were celebrating with it. A small human child ran onto the stage. She could not have been more than 5 years old. In her tiny hands, she carried a cup of water. "I want to help too," she announced. And she drank it down with a big smile. Kethvar finally understood. These humans were not just advanced warriors who had learned to control dangerous weapons. They were beings made of living death itself. They were walking weapons, who consumed their own substance for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They were the most terrifying and magnificent species the galaxy had ever produced, and they had just invited him to be their friend. The emergency meeting of the Galactic Council convened within hours of receiving Kethvar's new transmission. But this time, the mood in the Great Chamber was very different. Instead of fear and anger, there was stunned silence. High Counselor, Zalthek's tentacles moved slowly as he processed the information. "Let me understand this correctly, Ambassador. The humans are not threatening us with weapons. They are made of weapons." "Correct, Honored Counselor." Kethvar's voice came through the communication array. 60% of their bodies consist of hydrogen-oxygen compound. They consume it daily to survive. They bathe in it. Their children play in it for entertainment. The chamber buzzed with amazed whispers. Counselor Verthak of the Crystal World spoke first. "This means they are living, breathing chemical weapons that can walk and talk." "More than that," Kethvar continued. "I witnessed 50 of them consume massive quantities of the compound in a single ceremony. One female consumed 2 full liters without any protection or safety equipment. Then they began throwing it at each other for fun." The council members looked at each other in disbelief. The reptilian delegates from Saurus Prime were making hissing sounds of respect. The floating energy beings pulsed with colors that meant deep admiration. "And they showed no signs of harm?" asked Counselor Morjack of the Iron Moons. "None whatsoever. In fact, they appeared to enjoy the experience. They laughed. They celebrated. A small child, barely more than a hatchling, consumed the compound. As easily as the adults." High Counselor Zalthek was quiet for a long moment. In his 3,000 years of life, he had seen many remarkable species join the galactic community, but nothing like this. "Recall the fleet immediately," he finally ordered. "We are not dealing with a threat. We are dealing with the most militarily advanced species the galaxy has ever encountered." Within hours, ships from 47 worlds were turning around and heading home, but they carried new orders. Instead of preparing for war, they were preparing for the most important diplomatic mission in galactic history. Back on Earth, Dr. Sarah Chen was finishing her morning coffee when her communication device chimed with an incoming message. It was from Ambassador Kethvar. "Dr. Chen," the alien's voice sounded very different now. There was something like awe in his tone. "The Galactic Council requests an immediate audience with your species." "Of course," Dr. Chen replied. "Are they still concerned about the misunderstanding?" "No. They wish to offer humanity a position of great honor." 3 days later, the largest gathering of alien ships in Earth's history hung in orbit around the Yas planet. Representatives from every major world in the galaxy had come to witness this historic moment. Dr. Chen stood in the main assembly hall at the United Nations building in New York. Behind her sat the leaders of every human nation. Before her, holographic projections showed the faces of dozens of alien species from across the stars. High Counselor Zalthek's ancient voice filled the hall. "People of Earth, we come before you today to acknowledge a truth that has shaken our understanding of the galaxy." The translation devices worked perfectly, carrying his words to every human listener. For millennia, we believed we understood the limits of biological adaptation. We thought we knew what was possible for living beings. You have proven us wrong, in the most spectacular way imaginable. Dr. Chen glanced at the water bottle sitting on her podium. Such a simple thing to cause such a cosmic revelation. "Your species has achieved something we considered impossible," the High Counselor continued. "You have evolved to not merely survive contact with one of the universe's most dangerous substances. You have made it the foundation of your existence." Murmurs of confusion rippled through the human audience. They still did not fully understand why the aliens were so impressed by their basic biology. Furthermore, Zalthek's voice grew more formal. "Your demonstration proved that humans possess military capabilities beyond our comprehension. Any species that can consume chemical weapons as daily nutrition, that can bathe in concentrated death for pleasure, that can train their young to handle planet-killing substances as toys, represents the pinnacle of evolutionary warfare adaptation." Dr. Chen realized she needed to speak up. "Honored Counselor, I think there may still be some misunderstanding. Humans do not consider water to be a weapon or—" "Modesty," Zalthek interrupted gently. "We appreciate human modesty, but the facts speak for themselves. You are living weapons, who have achieved perfect harmony with your own destructive nature." He paused dramatically. "Therefore, the Galactic Council hereby extends an offer to humanity. We invite you to become the supreme military advisors of the Galactic Alliance." The human leaders looked at each other in shock. Supreme military advisors? They had barely figured out how to get along with each other, let alone advise alien civilizations on warfare. "This position comes with great responsibility," Zalthek continued. "You would guide our defense strategies, help us understand advanced warfare techniques, and serve as our ultimate deterrent against any species that might threaten galactic peace." Dr. Chen tried again. "We appreciate this honor, but humans are not as militarily advanced as you believe. We are still learning, still growing as a species." "Again, admirable modesty," Zalthek replied. "But consider this. Your species has weaponized your own planet's surface. You live in harmony with substances that would destroy our worlds. You have achieved biological and technological integration that makes you living weapons of unimaginable power. And yet you offer friendship and hospitality to visitors. This combination of ultimate strength and peaceful intentions is exactly what the galaxy needs. The vote was unanimous. Every species in the Galactic Council supported humanity's appointment to the highest military position in known space. As the ceremony ended, and the alien ships began broadcasting the news across the galaxy, Dr. Chen sat back in her chair and reached for her water bottle. She took a long, thoughtful drink. Somewhere in the galaxy, entire civilizations were probably trembling in fear at the sight. The thought made her smile. Humans had joined the galactic community not as the weak newcomers they had expected to be, but as legendary warriors whose reputation would spread to every corner of known space, all because they could drink water. The stories that would be told about humanity would grow with each telling tales of the species so hardcore they made their bodies out of liquid death. The beings so advanced they consumed their own weapons for breakfast. The warriors so fearless they let their children play with planet-killing substances. And the best part was, it was all completely true. Humans really were that extraordinary. They just had never realized it until someone else pointed it out. Dr. Chen finished her water and smiled. First contact had not gone as anyone expected, but it had gone perfectly.